showing, the arrow on the bottom shows that this was the lowest. This was the last week in office for me because of a horrible, horrible election where I got many millions more votes than I got the first time. It didn't quite make it, just a little bit short. We got to clean up our borders, we have to clean up our elections, or we're not going to have a country. But
wow, did you catch this astonishing moment from Donald Trump's recent speech in Arizona? It's hard to believe that he actually admitted to losing the 2020 election. Just a little bit, he says. This is not just a slip, it's a glaring admission that flies in the face of his repeated claims of a rigged election. What a turn of events. I have to say, hearing Trump admit that he didn't quite make it by just a bit really leaves me incredulous. This is the same person who has relentlessly peddled lies about the election being stolen, who has whipped up his base into a frenzy over these baseless accusations. And now, here he is, almost begrudgingly acknowledging that the election wasn't as rigged as he's been screaming about for years. Isn't that just a stunning contradiction?
Election turned out the way it turned out. We got more votes than any sitting president in history, and we lost by a whisker. Bullshit, okay? Bullshit.
Can you believe this? I just watched Donald Trump's latest performance in Arizona, and it's truly mind-boggling. The man's demeanor and language are so unhinged, it's almost shocking. Here he is, spewing expletives and degrading the entire process, calling the 2020 election bullshit right from the stage. What a disgrace. I mean, seriously, this isn't just about political rhetoric anymore. Trump's use of foul language while addressing his supporters is so troubling. He's in churches, schools, and at what he calls rallies, and instead of engaging in thoughtful discourse, he's cursing up a storm. It's like he's deliberately trying to provoke and inflame rather than engage in any constructive dialogue. It's deeply disturbing to see a former president behaving like this. It's not just the language, it's the disregard for the democratic process and the utter disrespect for the office he once held.
They're looking for the people that rigged the election, and that's the people they go after. They got away with something, they're never going to get away with it again. Look what they've done to the country. Then you look at January 6th, it was a rigged election, and we're looking at it, and almost everybody in this room agree. It was a rigged election. But we won much bigger with millions and millions more votes in 2020. It was a rigged election. It was a rigged election. They go after the guys that complain about the election, not the guys that rigged the election. Isn't that interesting, right?
Here's Donald Trump, over and over again, railing against the 2020 election results. It's like a broken record of denial and deceit. How does this man continue to get away with this? Every clip is a reminder of his relentless insistence that the election was rigged. He's practically shouting it from the rooftops. And what's even more outrageous is his claim that almost everybody in this room agrees with him. Is he really trying to paint a picture that his distorted version of reality is the truth? It's utterly ridiculous. I'm stunned by how he keeps repeating these baseless claims about the election being rigged. He accuses others of rigging the election while completely ignoring the facts and the evidence to the contrary. It's almost as if he's trying to rewrite history in real time, and it's downright maddening. This isn't just about politics, it's about truth and integrity. Trump's constant barrage of false claims is not only misleading, but also deeply damaging. His words are a clear attempt to discredit the democratic process and undermine faith in our institutions. It's annoying to see him get away with it time and again.
The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020. They rigged the presidential election. The radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election of 2020. And it was rigged, and it was stolen. And if something happened where it gets stolen, because it's the only way they're going to do it, they're professional thieves.
This clip is just another stunning example of Trump's outrageous behavior. Here he goes again, doubling down on his ludicrous claim that the 2020 presidential election was rigged and stolen by the radical left Democrats. I'm absolutely floored by his persistence in spreading these unfounded accusations. How can anyone take him seriously at this point? His rant about the election being stolen and labeling the Democrats as professional thieves is not only absurd, but deeply damaging. He's essentially accusing an entire political party of orchestrating a massive nationwide theft without a shred of credible evidence to support his claims. It's as if he's living in his own alternative reality where truth and facts don't matter.
The bottom line was, we told him there is a 5 to 10% chance of all of this happening. You can't go 2 for 3. You can't go 1 for 3. You need to win recounts in 2 states and win a legal challenge in Wisconsin. That has to happen, 3 for 3. And we think realistically there's a 5, maybe 10% chance of that happening.
I was in the Oval Office, and at some point in the conversation, Matt Oskowski, who is the lead data person, was brought on. And I remember he delivered to the president pretty blunt terms that he was going to lose.
And that was based, Mr. Miller, on Matt and the data team's assessment of the sort of county by county, state by state results as reported.
Oh gosh, this is a real eye-opener. Listening to the deposition, where Trump's own advisors laid it out so clearly, is both shocking and infuriating. It's maddening to hear that despite knowing there was only a 5 to 10% chance of overturning the results, Trump still chose to push forward with his baseless claims of election fraud. Can you believe that? Here's the real kicker. We've all known Trump was lying, but seeing this confirmation from his advisors, that he was explicitly told he had no legitimate path to victory, just makes my blood boil. How could he continue to spread these lies when he knew, deep down, that he was misleading everyone? It's as if he was purposefully trying to deceive his supporters while knowing full well that the chances of success were practically zero. I find it absolutely outrageous that he had the audacity to carry on with his false narrative, despite clear evidence to the contrary. This kind of behavior is not just deceitful, it's a betrayal of public trust. I also feel for those who were misled and are now waking up to the reality of being deceived. It's a hard pill to swallow when you realize you've been duped by someone who was never genuinely interested in honest governance. But hey, if you're one of those former supporters, welcome to the pro-democracy community. You're not alone, and it's time to rally behind the values that truly uphold our nation. I can hardly believe what I'm hearing. Donald Trump is actually hosting the January 6th Awards Gala. Yes, you heard that right. It's as if we've stepped into some twisted version of reality where insurrectionists are being celebrated rather than condemned. What in the world is going on? This is absolutely outrageous. Instead of addressing the serious repercussions of the January 6th insurrection, Trump is glorifying the very people who tried to undermine our democracy. Awards for the most violent insurrectionists? This is not only deeply disrespectful, but also incredibly dangerous. How can anyone rationalize honoring those who sought to overthrow our government? And let's talk about the media coverage, or rather, the lack of it. It's frustrating to see corporate media obsessed with trivial matters, like focusing on undecided voters who are more interested in posting pro-Trump memes or analyzing word clouds. Meanwhile, they're completely ignoring the fact that Trump is throwing a gala to celebrate the people who attacked our Capitol. Isn't this a serious issue that deserves more attention?
Under the final gaps of the wall were about to be sealed. Then Kamala came in.
We are monitoring Donald Trump. He is at a border community just along the Arizona-Mexico border. But all of...
Oh, here we go again. Can you believe this? Donald Trump's admission isn't just a slip of the tongue. It's a glaring example of him actively participating in criminal behavior. It's infuriating to see how he continues to flaunt his disregard for the law. His blatant admission of guilt is almost too outrageous to be real. Seriously, how can anyone look at this and not see it for what it is? He's essentially waving a flag saying, "Look at me, I'm guilty." The idea that he's now hosting an awards gala to honor the January 6th insurrectionists is beyond comprehension. It's not just offensive, it's a slap in the face to every American who believes in the rule of law and democratic principles. What kind of person turns a tragic attempt to undermine democracy into a celebration? And let's not forget how Fox News conveniently cut their coverage when things started getting too real. Isn't it just sickening that media outlets are so willing to protect Trump's lies and criminal behavior while turning a blind eye to the truth? How much more will they allow themselves to be complicit in this charade? I find it appalling that Trump continues to manipulate and mislead with such audacity. It's a stark reminder of why we need to stay vigilant and demand accountability. When will we draw the line and say enough is enough? The stakes are incredibly high, and it's on us to stand up for our democracy and hold those in power accountable. Don't you agree? Isn't it time we stop letting these disgraceful antics go unchecked?
Danger standing here talking, so let's not talk any longer. No, I know about it, but they don't want me standing here. They don't want you standing here either. Have a good time. Thank you very much.
I think the drama never ends with Donald Trump. Watching him cut short an interview with News Nation because he felt in danger is like something straight out of a bad movie script. Here's the thing. Trump's so used to being in controlled environments where he can spew his rhetoric without challenge. When faced with even mild scrutiny, his first instinct is to retreat into this melodramatic narrative of victimhood. And what's the real danger here? It's absurd how he spins every moment into a crisis for the cameras. This isn't just about avoiding uncomfortable questions. It's about maintaining his carefully crafted image of being constantly under siege. His constant need to paint himself as a martyr while dodging genuine scrutiny is a dangerous game. It's not just frustrating, it's a blatant attempt to manipulate the narrative and avoid facing reality. When will enough be enough? How much longer will we allow this charade to continue? Can you see that? What a whirlwind of events. As we dissect these jaw-dropping moments from Donald Trump's recent speeches and antics, it's clear that his behavior continues to defy logic and decency. From his contradictory admissions about the 2020 election to his outrageous glorification of January 6th insurrectionists, it's more apparent than ever that Trump is playing a dangerous game with the truth. So, what can we do? We must stay vigilant, keep questioning, and demand accountability from those who attempt to undermine our democratic institutions. Our engagement and activism are crucial in countering this chaos. If you're as passionate about holding our leaders accountable and safeguarding our democracy as I am, don't miss out on any updates. Hit that subscribe button, join the conversation, and let's keep pushing for truth and integrity in our political landscape. Together, we can stand up to the charades and ensure that our democracy remains strong and true. Thank you for tuning in, and stay engaged for more insightful analysis and updates. Let's make our voices heard.